What a Super Bowl. Watching the Chiefs get completely shut down on prime time in front of millions of fans was something else. Honestly, it felt like a win for everyone who wanted to see them lose, especially for us Raiders fans. It's a great way to kick off the offseason, and I can't wait to see what the Raiders do next. But before we dive in, if you're a diehard Raiders fan and love daily Raiders content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now let's talk about the quarterback situation. We all know how important this position is for the Raiders. Since Derek Carr left, we haven't had a solid quarterback to lead this team. But with a new head coach, a new GM, and even Tom Brady involved in the organization, the quarterback decision has never been more crucial. The big question is, can the Raiders actually compete next season? That all depends on what happens this offseason. The NFL draft and free agency are right around the corner, and there's already talk about potential signings. One name that's been brought up recently? Sam Darnold. According to Adam Schefter, the Raiders could be looking at him as a possible free agent pickup. Let's break it down. According to reports, the Raiders are a team to watch when it comes to signing Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold in free agency. Some insiders believe the Raiders will make a strong push for him. Of course, this all depends on whether Minnesota lets him go, but if he does become available, Las Vegas could be his next stop. This is definitely an interesting possibility, especially since Darnold is coming off his best season yet. Last year with the Vikings, he threw for 4,319 yards and 35 touchdowns, completely turning his career around. What makes this even more intriguing? Our new head coach, Pete Carroll, has been a fan of Sam Darnold for years. Back in 2020, Pete had nothing but praise for him, saying, "I think he's really talented, no doubt. He's got great throws in him. He's a real quarterback. He sees things, makes big plays in tough situations, and it's only a matter of time before he becomes a big-time QB." Now that Carroll is leading the Raiders, could he be interested in bringing Darnold in as the franchise QB? The Raiders have plenty of cap space to make it happen, and if they do sign him, it's unlikely they'll draft a quarterback high this year. I'll be honest, I've been against the idea of signing Sam Darnold this whole offseason. I just don't see him replicating his Vikings success with the Raiders. But I could be wrong. Would I be totally against it? Not really. At the end of the day, if Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, and GM John Spytek decide he's the guy, I trust them. Carroll has a great track record of developing quarterbacks, and if there's anyone who can get the best out of Darnold, it's him. What do you guys think? Would Sam Darnold be a good fit for the Raiders? Let me know in the comments. We've seen Pete Carroll develop quarterbacks before. Russell Wilson and even Geno Smith became stars under his coaching. So if Sam Darnold comes to the Raiders, there's a real chance he could be the franchise guy. We'll just have to wait and see. Signing him would also put the Raiders in a strong position. Instead of using a high draft pick on a quarterback, we could focus on getting the best player available. And while Darnold may not be my first choice, I wouldn't mind seeing him in silver and black as long as he plays at the same level he did with the Vikings last season. But what do you think, Raider Nation? Would Sam Darnold be a good fit? Is he your top choice for quarterback? If the Raiders sign him, would you still want them to draft a quarterback? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about another quarterback making headlines, Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is always a controversial name in the NFL, and that's no different for Raider Nation. Recently, Sports Illustrated listed 5 teams that could be potential landing spots for Rodgers this offseason. And yes, the Las Vegas Raiders were one of them. The article pointed out that the Raiders are expected to search for a new quarterback this offseason. Their current duo, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, struggled throughout the season. While the team could draft a quarterback in 2025, they may prefer free agency due to a weaker draft class.
Rodgers could actually make sense on a one-year deal, especially since the Raiders have over $85 million in cap space, the second most in the NFL. Would Rodgers be a smart move for Vegas, or is he too much of a risk? Let's discuss. The Raiders could decide to hold off on drafting a quarterback until 2026 and take a chance on Aaron Rodgers for Pete Carroll's first season as head coach. Now, before you say hell no to Rodgers, hear me out. I actually wouldn't mind this move at all. In fact, I might even prefer it over Sam Darnold coming to Las Vegas. Yes, Rodgers is getting older, but he can still get the job done in the right system. The problem wasn't Rodgers last year, it was the New York Jets. That franchise was a complete mess. They had no direction, no leadership, and honestly, they didn't know what they were doing. But things are different here. The Raiders have a strong leadership team with Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, and GM John Spytek. Rodgers respects Brady, and with Chip Kelly's offense, I think he could actually thrive. Plus, the Raiders wouldn't have to pay too much to bring Rodgers in. A 1 or 2 year deal with a team option could work, and he'd be the perfect bridge quarterback while we build for the future. I've been high on the idea of signing Russell Wilson, or even Geno Smith as a bridge QB. But if neither of them works out, I wouldn't mind looking in Rodgers' direction. The guy has been there before, he's made every throw, and he still has plenty of arm talent left. Of course, the biggest concern with Rodgers isn't his skill. It's all the off-field drama he brings with him. We all know about the drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers, especially with the whole Davante Adams situation. But honestly, I don't think that would be an issue if he came to Las Vegas. In fact, bringing Rodgers in on a 1 year deal as a bridge quarterback could actually work out really well. It would give the Raiders a ton of flexibility in the draft, letting them focus on building a strong foundation instead of reaching for a quarterback.
No matter who we bring in, Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, or Sam Darnold, we'd still have options in the 2025 draft to fill key positions and build a complete team. If we hit on the right picks, we could be setting up something special in Las Vegas. And who knows? Maybe Rodgers could have a Peyton Manning-style run to close out his career. If the Raiders build a strong defense, establish a solid running game, and bring in top-tier receiving talent, Rodgers could actually thrive here. Not to mention, a big name like Rodgers would attract even more talent to Las Vegas. And let's be real, this would put the Raiders in a true win-now mode, something Pete Carroll has talked about nonstop. So if we can get Rodgers and surround him with the right pieces, I'm all for it. The only thing I'd hope for, that he leaves all the drama in the past and just focuses on winning. At this point, that's all we need from our next quarterback. And between Rodgers and Wilson, I'd honestly rank Rodgers just a little higher. At first, I thought Aaron Rodgers was set to return to the Jets, but now it's clear they're moving on. If that's the case, then why not bring him to Las Vegas? Sure, the Pittsburgh Steelers are seen as favorites to land Rodgers, but if that deal falls through and the Raiders can put together an enticing offer, we might just see number 12 in silver and black. But Rodgers isn't the only quarterback being discussed in Raider Nation. It seems like every available QB is being linked to Las Vegas, but honestly, that's a good thing. It means the Raiders have options, whether through free agency or the draft. One name that keeps coming up? Matthew Stafford. According to Bovada, the Raiders are the co-favorites to trade for the Rams' star quarterback. That alone makes things interesting. I won't lie, Stafford can still be a solid QB, but if I had to rank my top choices, he wouldn't be at the very top. He's battled injuries, and like Rodgers and Wilson, he's not getting any younger. Now, do I think the Rams will actually move on from Stafford? Probably not. But if he does become available, the Raiders should at least explore the possibility. At the end of the day, whether it's Rodgers, Stafford, or Wilson, they're all short-term solutions. The only long-term option in free agency? Sam Darnold. At just 27 years old, he still has a lot of football left. If the Raiders commit to him on a multi-year deal and he plays well, they might not even need to draft a quarterback. But here's the key. Whatever happens in free agency will shape what the Raiders do in the draft. If they land a short-term veteran like Rodgers, Stafford, Geno Smith, or Wilson, then drafting a young QB becomes a must. Either way, this offseason is going to be huge for the Raiders' future. If the Raiders bring in a short-term veteran QB, I could see them drafting a quarterback in the second or third round, instead of using a top pick. There are some intriguing options out there. Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, and Will Howard all stand out. And don't forget, Will Howard has already played under Chip Kelly, which could make him a perfect fit. But now, Raider Nation, it's time for your take. Who's your top choice for the Raiders' next quarterback? Would you rather sign a veteran in free agency or draft a young QB? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, until next time,